Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for July 25th. July 25th is the 206th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 207th in leap years, with 159 days remaining to the end of the year. Not too long ago, on July 8th, we talked about the diacritical mark known as the umlaut. I thought today we might talk about diacritical marks in general. Such markings may correctly be called a diacritic, a diacritical mark, a diacritical point, a diacritical sign, or accent. These markings, or glyphs, are added to letters to indicate the way that letter should be pronounced, which may be different from the usual way in which it would ordinarily be pronounced. There are quite a few of them, actually, and they each have their own specific purposes. The word diacritic means serving to distinguish and comes to us through Latin, originally from Greek. Two diacritics appear in the word déjà vu. While diacritics have undoubtedly been used for probably as long as written language has existed, the first known use of the word diacritic is around 1690, and the first known use of the term diacritical mark is around 1866. Diacritical marks. And we're talking about this today because we talked about the umlaut earlier in the month. We'll pick up a few more of these as we go along. We'll sprinkle them into the mix because there are a lot of them. Thanks, Jeff Gavin, for suggesting it in the first place. And with that, on July 25th in the year 306, Constantine I was proclaimed Roman emperor by his troops. Constantine ruled until his death in the year 337, so he was around to see when, 9 years later, on July 25th in the year 315, the Arch of Constantine was completed near the Colosseum in Rome to commemorate Constantine I's victory over Maxentius at the Milvian Bridge. This is a triumphal arch commemorating the aforementioned victory. On July 25, 1788, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart entered into his catalog completion of one of his most beloved works, Symphony No. 40 in G minor, sometimes called the Great G Minor Symphony. It was written in the final years of his life, and things were not going well. An infant daughter had died a few weeks earlier. He'd moved into a cheaper apartment. He was begging friends and acquaintances for loans. But he wrote his last 3 symphonies in the summer of 1788. Symphony No. 39 in E-flat, Symphony in G minor, and the Jupiter Symphony. It's not known for sure whether Mozart ever actually got to hear any of these symphonies performed. Symphony No. 40 in G minor is indeed lovely. I've included a link in the description to the symphony just in case you'd like to hear it. Symphony No. 40 in G minor. This is the birthday of Maxfield Parrish, born July 25, 1870. He was an American painter and illustrator with an art career that lasted a good half-century. He began drawing as a child for his own amusement, and his parents encouraged him. God bless them. He produced almost 900 pieces of art, including calendars, greeting cards, magazine covers, and he also illustrated books and book covers, and much, much more. Most of his early works were in black and white, but I'm glad he did eventually move into color. And the thing about that is that he came down with tuberculosis in 1900, and it was while he was recovering from this bout of tuberculosis, he had to stay in for a while. He used that time to learn how to mix oil paints and glazes. And so it is the beginning of his move into color. I'm sure glad that he did. He did beautiful work. A large body of his work can be found at the National Museum of American Illustration in Newport, Rhode Island. Maxfield Parrish developed arthritis in the 1950s and was no longer able to paint by 1960. He died in 1966 at the age of 95. Maxfield Parrish was greatly admired by Norman Rockwell, by the way. We have a playlist of episodes for this day in history, as well as a playlist of single subjects called How About That? and Words of the Day in a playlist called There's a Word for That. I'll leave links to those playlists for you. Today's song is They Long to Be Close to You by the Carpenters, number 1, July 25th, 1970. This is a beautiful song written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, and it was originally recorded by Richard Chamberlain in 1963. But the other side of the record, blue guitar, is what took off at that time. It was also recorded by Dusty Springfield and Dionne Warwick in 1964, and Burt Bacharach himself in 1971. But the Carpenters version, recorded in May of 1970, is the one that really took off. What a voice Karen Carpenter had on her. They Long to Be Close to You by the Carpenters hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on July 25th, 1970, and held that spot for 4 weeks. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.